Okay, they say heavy is the head that wears the crown, so let's talk about it. Welcome to Under the Crown Podcast. This is Chris.
This is Carlton. How y'all doing?
All right, so look, Carlton, man, I love it when we have guests because they always have the opportunity to kind of make us have an understanding about different subject matters, right?
Yes, sir.
And this guest, I believe, is going to give us a breakdown on the subject, but also give us an understanding of the word intimacy, right? And I heard a statistic yesterday that in the African-American community, the divorce rate is 75%, which means that it's a breakdown somewhere.
Oh, yeah.
And it probably is because of that word intimacy. And we also have to understand, too, that it's more than just having an orgasm. So we're going to get that broken down. So the guest that we have this evening, right, she's a speaker, a blogger, entrepreneur, and just overall intimacy expert. Her words have been in publications such as Essence and Ebony Magazine, and she was also featured on I Young Fix My Life. And she is the author of the book, Making Love Better Within, and her latest masterpiece is Making Love Better TwoGether. Under the Crown Podcast, I present to you Miss Yanni Brown.
Hey.
How you doing?
I am wonderful. I'm excited to be here.
Okay, we're excited to have you. So, how did you become this lover of love?
Oh, wow. Honestly, I want to say it was birthed in me.
Mm-hmm.
And my mom just kind of cultivated it along the way. And, I've tried to get away from it. I've been divorced. I've been in several unsuccessful relationships. But what I did was I decided not to be bitter or angry from it. I decided to learn what I needed to learn from it so that I could share it with other people.
Okay.
So that's kind of how I believe it all came to be. But it started a long time ago, like way back in high school. I tell people this not for bragging rights, but I broke my virginity at 13. Not anything to brag about, but it was just God tends to work things on your behalf, and you don't even know that they're working for your good. So in that happening to me, or me having an experience earlier in life, I was able to help a lot of women who struggled with that later in life. So
okay. So with that being said, you have written 2 books.
Yes.
Are there any particular events that led you to inspire you to write these books?
Absolutely.
Per se? And do you mind letting us know?
So the first book is Making Love Better Begins Within, which was my personal journey to learning to love me.
That was in 2010, right? You wrote that one?
I think so, yes.
Okay.
And learning to love me, I realized in talking to other women, and just in casual conversation, I found that is very, very difficult.
Oh.
Like you ask women all the time, what don't you want? And they have a list, and they got the neck rolling, and they got the fingers popping, and they telling you everything that they don't want. But the moment you say, well, what do you want? The room goes deaf silent. Because we're good at not being able to articulate as women sometimes what we want. And I realized we struggle with loving us, flaws and all. Because society tells us we should look this way, the media tells us we should dress this way, even our parents, the men, some men love weave, some men love natural, and it's like, there's this constant battle for us as women to love us completely, even the ugly parts of us. So that's where that first book came from. And it was really, I was dating somebody who had somebody, which was a long story. I was dating somebody who had somebody because I had been hurt so much by so many people that I was like, okay, well, I'm going into this knowing he can't hurt me because I know the truth already. And I was supposed to get in and get out. At the advice, of course, of a friend of mine. Like, you just need to get with somebody else in order to get, but if you're not a get in and get out person, that's never an option, because when you're connected, heart, mind, soul, it's a very different conversation. And everybody can't get in and get out, which to me later was a teachable moment. But during the process, I was with this guy and I knew about who he was with, and there have been times where we were in the same room, but this one particular night, I saw him touch her arm in a way that I had never seen before. And that's when it hit me. You're Thursday's girl. And I couldn't keep it together. Like, I couldn't contain I couldn't contain anything. And I had the ugly cry. So the lip was quivering, the snot was dribbling, and it was that cry. And I was standing in the mirror and I was like, God, what do you want for my life? And he said, I want you to love you the way you keep trying to love everybody else.
Self-love.
Yes. And that was deep, because I was like, wow, it can't be that easy. And he was like, no, that's exactly what I want from you. And from there, it was, you know how you call somebody when you're having issues and nobody's available?
Right.
It was all of that. No one was available. Nobody would answer the phone. I couldn't hang out with friends. It was a moment where I had to, for real, love me.
Okay.
I had to date me. I had to get to know me. I had to figure out what I liked, what I didn't like, why I was unhappy, and why I chose to date somebody who had somebody. Like, how far was I broken? And it wasn't pretty. And the more I shared my story with other women, the more people were like, you should write a book. And I was like, yeah, but I'm not a writer. But you have a great story. So literally, I just basically put all my business in the book, but realized it related to a lot of other women, and men, for that matter, in the process.
Right. So the first book, Making Love Within, so therefore you had to find things that was going on with you.
Yes.
Did you sometimes blame yourself?
Absolutely not. First, what I realized was, and my mother told me this, but of course it didn't resonate with me then. She told me this a long time ago. She was like, your love is a gift. Once you give it away, it's no longer yours to dictate what somebody should do with it. And for the longest, I didn't connect the dots. It's like, nah, I want blah, 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 blah. But what I realized was I took everything and I was like, okay, well, how can I help somebody else? Like, what did I learn? And that's one of the questions that I ask anybody who's going through a breakup. Not what the person did, not why y'all broke up, not why is this. It's what did you learn about you? And that's the most difficult thing. It's like, it's easy to put on makeup. It's easy to go shopping. Men do it too. And it's easy to mask not dealing with you. Absolutely. It's easy to mask not facing, oh, well, maybe I was passive and that's why we broke up. Like, that's a hard thing to look at. Like, even if you do nothing, you still have some responsibility in any breakup. And I had to get ugly with myself and figure that thing out. And it wasn't pretty. But like I said, the more I told my story, the more women were like, I can relate to that. Or I went through that. And, you know, we are real good for do as I say, not as I do. And you know, we're real quick. Well, you should just love yourself.
Yeah. How do you
okay, how?
Right.
You know, you got some steps, it's 12, it's 6. And so for me, it was like, okay, well, share with people how you love yourself. And it was ugly work. You know, it's get in the mirror, it's looking at yourself, it's writing down your own positive affirmations, because nobody's coming to rescue you. And nobody's gonna love you like you can love you. And then once I really did fall in love with me, because it's easier said than done until it's done. But the moment it clicked, the moment I was like, you alright. You know, it was in that moment that I was like, oh, decisions will be different. Like, you won't date the guy that has somebody else knowingly. You won't date the guy that smokes even though you said you didn't want a smoker. Like, it becomes very real about what you want, what you will and will not accept.
You're not lowering your standards.
Absolutely. Not at all. Not at all. And that's job, that's man, that's woman, that's life, that's career, that's everything. You become more valuable to yourself.
I can dig it.
Yeah.
I can dig it.
So in addition to, you know, working on yourself and writing books, you also do workshops.
Yes.
So besides intimacy, what other subjects have you touched on during these workshops?
I do a Dare to Love You workshop. I have one workshop, which is actually the second book. It's Making Love Better TwoGether, The Art of Intimacy. That workshop has been taught in churches all over Chicago, like their marriage retreats. And that's the one where you connect with your mate. Because a lot of times what I figured and what I found is that when I do these settings, I don't like to do one-on-one sessions. I like to do group sessions because one, men, they don't want a black woman telling them what they should be doing in their relationships. And I get it, because I'm not a man. So I can't tell a man how to think. And then you have all these people telling women how they should think. So I put us all in a room together, and then I have us having conversations. And all I am is the moderator of that conversation to get you to have conversations about things that everybody else in the room is thinking, feeling, or have a question about. And then now we have a conversation that we could relate to because he was thinking that, or she was thinking that. And then once you bring it to the forefront, it's like, oh, so I'm not the only one. And now it's like, see how I did that? You know, that worked, did it? And we've had some remarkable successes with these workshops.
Okay, now, quick question. Being that you are a lover of love,
I am.
in what ways has this been instrumental in your life?
Well, funny you should ask that question. For the longest time, I was like, okay, God, why me? Like, seriously.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you have me out here every day. I wake up with like something to say, something to share, something to do. And I'm real single. Like,
Real single?
really, like, real single. Like, nobody's like even like ringing the bell. Nobody's in my inbox. You know how on Facebook everybody's like in something. He was in my inbox.
Oh, yeah.
It was none of that for me.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, okay, well, something wrong with me. But then it hit me. There are several types of men.
Okay.
There are men that will be in a club and he'll see 5 women. Out of those 5 women, he knows who's easy, who's the blabbermouth, who got way too much drama going on, and who's the girl that's going tonight.
Right.
She said it, ladies.
And in that, I realized I was one of those girls. None of which they were willing to do the work for. Because the guys know who they're going to work for versus who they're not.
Mm-hmm.
And I was at work. So I was like, okay. It was in that moment where I was like, okay, I got to be patient. Because I realized I'm not a lot of work, but I am a lot of work.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's when, I met a guy.
You're a match, you would say?
Man, when I tell you, unbelievable
Mm-hmm.
in terms of like how synced we are. Like I can say, he'll say, how's your day? And I can say, okay, so what's up? Talk to me. You know,
the energy,
that
synergy.
yes, that total synergy that says, okay, well, let's talk about it. And somebody that fully allowed me to be me.
Okay.
You know, because a lot of us, when we meet people, we meet their persona.
Mm-hmm.
We don't really
The
meet them.
representative,
Yes, yes.
Mm-hmm.
And in meeting their representative, some people can't take their mask off ever.
Right.
And I'm going to take my hair off, and you're okay with it.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Because as a man, I'm speaking for me, and I feel like when we do meet that special person, we will put in the work.
Yes.
You know, and it's all about, and most important, that's what I'm learning as well. Communication is key,
Mm-hmm.
and being in sync, like you said, and just understanding that person and knowing that, you know, even though you don't give me the answer, I know the answer, but I want you to tell me.
Yes.
So then how can I make it better for you? Absolutely.
And women have to understand that. It's like I tell women, when a man, just put it in
Right,
air quotes,
okay.
when a man walks in the room
Mm-hmm.
and he's your man, you will follow suit. You know, I keep hearing all these conversations about submission and blah, 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 blah. When a man shows up, submission comes naturally.
Okay.
You know,
Okay.
it's going to be some work on her part if she's been independent for a very long time, but submission comes naturally. And it's like, okay, sure, what you want to do?
It's kind of like water seeks its own level.
Yeah.
Now, not to change subjects, but since you are speaking about intimacy, physical attraction being a normality for pleasing your partner usually, for the most part, what are other methods you might suggest?
Having that real conversation about likes and dislikes when it comes to intimacy. You know, men, if you know you like oral pleasures, then absolutely say that. Because if that's a deal breaker for you in the beginning, it's going to be a deal breaker 3 months in.
Mm-hmm.
And then that also will be the reason why he cheats, because that's something that he likes. And if she doesn't do it, or she's not interested in learning how to do it and how to do it well, and that's something that he desires, then that leaves a crack in the foundation for a potential person to come in and do that thing that you enjoy. So, you know, we don't talk about things like that. Intimacy is on every level in everything that we do. Intimacy is in cooking. Well, how many times a week are you going to cook?
Mm-hmm.
Are you going to help with the chores? Are you going to help with the kids? Like, all of that, believe it or not, is connected to intimacy, because it distracts you from actually being intimate when you don't have what you need. So, yeah, absolutely have those uncomfortable conversations, because what I'm learning now is that I'd rather have these conversations now than put 5 years in and we're just not a match.
Yeah, because there's nothing better than having an understanding.
Yes.
And piggyback off what you said, the communication, I learned it too, but you have to comprehend what you just communicated and understand it fully. Fully get, full gist of really what's going on, opposed to just saying, hey, you said this, I heard you, but really take time to break that down.
Absolutely. And, another way that, I express intimacy is, men always want women to do the bulk of the work.
You think so?
Oh, absolutely. She got to take care of the kids. She got to cook. Then, you want her to be sexy for sexy time. Okay, well, bring in dinner sometimes. Or you take the kids for a whole day, let her go pamper herself. I guarantee you she'll be ready later on that day. It's not, intimacy isn't just sex. Intimacy is foreplay. And foreplay is everything leading up to the sex. So it's calling her throughout the day, or her calling you throughout the day, or you send her a sexy picture sometimes. You know, always send me a pic. You send a pic. You know, it's that togetherness where you all are like in sync about what's good for you.
Right. And speaking about being in sync, I have female friends, and one thing the word that I hear from females all the time is the word consistency. And so I'm just wondering, as a male, like, okay, do you expect me to be this romantic person each and every day? So, as an intimacy expert, are those expectations realistic, or can you just break down consistency coming from their point of view?
Consistency is however you communicate it.
Okay.
Because what you did to get them, and I'm saying both. Because ladies, if you were swinging from the chandeliers, you know, when y'all first met, don't put the bonnet on your head 6 months into it like, I don't ever want to swing from the chandelier again. Right. It's about communicating your desires to your mate. And it's also about adding spontaneity and spice as well. So consistency goes with adding fun to the relationship. And I think a lot of times the consistency is lost in the bills, it's lost in the mortgage, it's lost in the kids, it's lost in the dog, it's lost in, you know, everyday life.
Okay.
So you have to make time for consistency. You know, consistency is a quickie.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
So it really is what you all talk about. It's a code word that you use when y'all want to go play hide and go seek with the kids and you want to get it in real quick. That's consistency. You know, it's the effort and the behind the parts in the effort. It's the, okay, baby, when you want it, let me know. It's not, okay, well, we got to have sexy time and it's, you know, missionary position only. No, it's washer and dryer on the spin cycle. It's hiding in the bathroom from your kids. I have a friend that every house they go to, they bless their bathroom.
Okay.
So they go missing for about 20 minutes. And everybody know what they doing. So it's their thing. And it's what you all have and it's what you all do. One of the things I tell couples, I have this one item. It's called vibrating panties.
Okay.
Now, I love this, and I tell couples, go on date night with these vibrating panties. Because she put on the panties and have the vibration going on. He has the remote. So when you all are out mixing and mingling with your friends, or say your relationship is strong enough where you want her to go out and flirt with other men, because some men find that very attractive. As soon as she's doing a little bit too much, you zap her, let her know where home is. So it's things like that that says, okay, what is your relationship and how do you make it fun for you?
Okay.
Because everybody can't do everything, but make a list. Yeah. Check it twice. Do something naughty and do something bad. Absolutely. Yes. So consistency for couples is all about what you all decide to do. And when you find yourself getting complacent, then I have a suggestion for that too. You get a box, a bag, I don't care what you get. It can be the bowl over there with the dog, for the dog. Put 12 things in it that you want to do. Put 12 things in it that she wants to do.
Okay.
Now, whenever it's time for date night or pre-planning for date night, you pull a thing, and whatever thing you pull, you plan.
Okay.
So it may be something like she chose ballroom dancing. Now you got to make the effort to go find a ballroom dance class that she's going to enjoy. Then if you want to take it up a notch, buy her an outfit to go ballroom dancing in. Leave it on the bed with a note. See, it's like little things like that.
It's consistency.
And not only is it consistency, it's like bam in your face. Not only am I thinking about what we're going to do, I want you to wear this.
Okay. Good. I mean, I got
she may have a pair of Timberlands on the side of the bed, like, I want you to wear this. So, you know.
Okay.
Dig it in. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Construction worker and
yes. With a hard hat, with a light.
Absolutely. I can do that.
Now, for our listeners out there, if it was you all, can you speak on when you wrote Why I Became His Side Chick?
Oh, you read that?
Yes.
Oh, I got chills. Okay, so.
They're your words.
So here's the thing what a lot of people don't understand. And I mean, people didn't even read it. They just read the title and went clean off on me. Like one lady said, she don't even know how to spell together. And I'm like, but that's the way I spell my company name.
Right.
So Why I Became His Side Chick is really a play on words. Because as a woman, you have to be all things to your man. So you have to be his front, his side, and his back sometimes. And sometimes you have to step in front of him when he doesn't even know that he needs to be led. Not led in a way that he's not the head, but sometimes she got to show him that the road is clear for him to go do the thing that he needs to do. So I wrote why I became his side chick, because I was doing a play on words, but I was also talking about how sometimes women get caught up in roles and what she's supposed to do. But let me just enlighten you on how you are in fact the backbone, how you are in fact the neck, how sometimes you have to stretch out and cover everybody in the entire family because you know something that he does not know. Or maybe the kids don't know. And sometimes you got to go before whomever because his temper is too quick and you got to get that articulation thing out there. You know what I mean? So that's where that blog came from. And it was really a play on words. And I wish people really would have read it. Because for those that actually did read the blog, things like, oh, I get it. But then there was also the mix of, I'm not doing all that. Well, that's what marriage is. Yeah. Marriage is all that. Yeah. And then some. You know, I think about my ex-husband. The running joke is that I'm friends with all my exes.
Okay.
It's weird, but that's what it is. We have family picnics. Like we have literally one big family picnic and all my exes are there. But that's because we have kids together and I wasn't going to raise them by myself. So both fathers share fatherhood for both kids.
That's fine.
So anyway, when it came down to, well, why are you still friends with your ex or why do you still call them? It's like, because we're a family. But it goes back to what we've been taught as African Americans. You're supposed to beef with your baby daddy. You're supposed to beef with your baby daddy, new girlfriend. And listen, if you died today, you want to make sure you're close enough to that woman where she can take care of your kids and you not have an ounce of work.
And I'm sorry to interject, and I hate that term, baby daddy, baby mama, like
father
and mother. That's what it is.
Yes. That's, you know, my mother's, I call them wife-in-laws, you know, because we're in this thing together. So when you talk about why I wrote that blog, that was why I wrote the blog, so that we have a full understanding of, as a woman, you have more than one role.
She said it, y'all.
Okay. So and that goes back to, you know, that statistic that I said that the divorce rate is 75% amongst us, because that's what I feel like is everyone is like playing like this position. Like it seems like it's I don't know, like everyone has like they're protecting themselves from something, and then that communication is just lost.
Well, who gave us that statistic though? Because my background is market research. So in addition to doing relationships, I spent the same and equal amount of time in market research. So I know how they fluff those numbers. So if you have 8 out of 10 people in a focus group, that's 80%.
Gotcha.
So you know what I mean? So it's easy to follow those numbers. But I caution people when they look at those numbers, as opposed to looking at those numbers, trying to figure out what you can do to reverse that. Because it's not just the divorce rate, it's the media telling us that we shouldn't be married. If you go way, way back to Claudine the movie, it's welfare telling us we shouldn't be married. Like there's so many reasons why our divorce rate is the way that it is. There's so many reasons why we're undivided. Like if you go back, you're younger than me. So if you go back a generation under your generation, that generation is totally being raised by YouTube, TV, and whatever device that you currently have and under. Your generation is the drug crack generation. My generation got high as well. But my generation, our neighbors knew each other. So if we did something wrong, the neighbor told our mother before we got home. Your generation, don't talk to my kids. The generation after that, you don't say nothing to my kids in the school, the neighborhood. So it's kind of way, way, way more than just looking at the statistics and why we're divorced. How about where they see healthy relationships at?
Gotcha.
You know, if you're looking at reality TV, that's not where we're going to find healthy relationships at. And then, you know, you talk about people that's been married for 50 plus years, but where they happy.
True.
So you have a whole generation of kids that's seeing unhappy relationships, and they're looking at that like, if that's marriage, I don't want it. Plus, we're going to add in, people are getting married later. So that's another reason why the divorce rate and the statistics are a little bit different now, because people have choices. This younger generation, I want to say 20 plus somethings, I forgot what they're called, millennials and whatever is right under millennials, they are now seeing, I have a choice in the type of man I want. I have a choice in the type of woman I want. So they're not rushing to get married for the same reason that we got married. You have to keep in mind the generation before me got married for stability. Right. You know, they got married to procreate. Not, oh, sex is fun, we should be enjoying it. No, it's to have kids. So you have all these different dynamics thrown in, and then where's the love and all that? You know?
And you know what's, to go back to everything you just touched on, in your honest opinion, all these elements that you just named, that's definitely something that you think is lacking in black love these days?
Love, absolutely. Love, yes, because, you know, you think about your kids, you know, you're destroying their dreams, don't think like that, don't believe like that. Where are they seeing love being cultivated anywhere? Like good love, you know. We're not even telling our kids, baby, I love you, you know, go out and have a great day. Of course, some parents are. But when you talk about the overall situation, you ain't, your daddy ain't, you look just like your daddy, you look just like your mom, you know, it's bad.
Absolutely.
So, you know, to me, the love is missing. And I came up with my company name, Making Love Better TwoGether. It's spelled TWO because I believe that it's going to take all of us coming together and restoring balance to love. Like, okay, well, how do you do this thing? Because we don't talk about that, you know, especially in a black family. What goes on in our house stays in our house. So we're not sharing what didn't work, what did work. I'm telling all my business, like, what didn't work, why it didn't work, because I hope that it helps someone else, and I think we need more of that.
Right, because we are a taboo people, and we just don't say anything. We just keep it under wraps. We don't talk about the uncle that did this to that. We don't talk about it.
We don't talk about sex. We don't talk about you should enjoy it. We don't talk about your orgasm matters. None of that. And I remember, and I talk about this in the book, so it's not anything bad. I remember my mom asking me at 13, when I told her I had sex, she said, how was it? Blew my mind. What you mean, how was it?
Yeah,
we had this conversation right here in the laundromat. Like, I felt like I was being punked before Ashton Kutcher created the show Punk. Like, my mother's asking me, how was it? Like, well, what if she wanted to know? But those are things we don't talk about.
Right.
We don't talk about, you know what's there. You know what, and I tell women, which goes back to intimacy, I tell women in my workshops, you should look at it. They like, look at what? It! How are you supposed to tell him how to enjoy it if you haven't marveled at it?
Or, so let me ask you this. Another thing in addition that you do is in writing and talking. you sell intimate products.
I knew you were
on your website, YanniBrown.com,
yes,
right?
I do. Yes, I do.
And we talked about us as a people saying we don't talk about it, or like you said, women, I ain't doing that. How have those devices really helped people with their intimacy, or do some people just kind of just shy away from it?
Well, the way I handle my workshops is it's always educational, informative, and fun. So I go into it and I take all the pressure off everybody in the room, because everybody has pressure. Like, ooh, what is she gonna talk about? I'm gonna take all the pressure off them immediately. So when I talk about the adult novelty toys, I'm speaking on how it can enhance your relationship. Not replace, not take away, but how to enhance. And one, as a man, make your job easier. Two, make things taste better. Three, have you having fun and trying new things that you wouldn't ordinarily try because your mama told you that was nasty. You know what I mean? So that's the angle that I come at it from. Like, and I introduce only things that couples can use together. There's a million and one items out there in the world. Boy, trust me, if you could think of it, it's a toy for that. But what I realized about us, everybody's not into everything. So yes, while I can get everything, I'm just gonna introduce you to the basics, because first I want you connecting to each other with just each other. And then I want you to try some things that's gonna be fun, and I'm gonna tell you where to use it, how to use it, what position to use it in, so that you get the most out of your lovemaking session. I have this one item, which I am totally, completely fascinated by, and I crack up laughing because it's a finger vibe. Okay. And it literally slides on your finger, and you turn it on and it vibrates. I was like, dude, this is perfect for this particular season. You got football, you got basketball, you got halftime. All you have to do is take this finger and lay it in her lap during halftime. Everybody's happy.
Oh yeah.
Everybody's happy.
Oh, that's a different kind of halftime show,
right? Because what we have been, I don't even know who told us this, but sex and intimacy is what you make it. It's not always she's on the bottom. It's not always this long, drawn out love making session where you got to gently take the clothes off. It's what you make it. And if you know your woman is multi-orgasmic, you can give her one right there. She tied over to the end of the game and then got to do some other stuff later. But it's about connecting with your mate and knowing what you're okay with in your relationship. And these are uncomfortable things that I talk about, you know, in the run. Like, there's some women that don't know if they're clitorally stimulated or vaginally stimulated. So let's talk about that. Yes. Because he's going to have his orgasm 9 times out of 10. Unless he's a selfless lover.
Explain that.
Selfless lover is the guy that's going to make sure you are fully satisfied before he has his orgasm.
Okay.
Or he's actually going to take the time to figure out where your spots are. Most men will not.
I'm glad you said that, because a lot of brothers, a lot of men, they don't take time to learn on this body.
But I have an activity for that.
Okay.
It's called the scavenger hunt.
Okay.
I'm telling you. These are things, listen, I come up with these things because I have too much free time on my hands. And I literally just sit and think about this stuff. So the scavenger hunt is, she puts on some of these products. So she'll put like a warming oil in the place that she likes so that she knows she's aroused. So she may put something here, or she may put something here, or she may put something in the curve of her thigh, wherever she gets warming. So the only thing she can do is moan when he's in the right spot. So if she's not moaning, then you gotta move around. Okay. So you have to find her spot. Same thing with a guy. You can do the same thing with him too. Because most men think, or most women think, that they only have a couple spots that excites them, and there's so many more. And I'll talk about that too.
Now, quick question. Being you an expert in these topics of intimacy and everything, which sex, male or female, have been more open about love making and everything when you have these group sessions?
Everybody's taboo. There is there is no more open. There is no side that's more open. And I say that wholeheartedly because here's the thing. When people are single and they're frolicking, everybody's down with a whole bunch of stuff. You know, men are like, yeah, I want to do this, and this. I want a threesome. And then when a threesome happens, it's like, oh, you can't perform in the threesome, because he thought he wanted that until he see it all break out and from what angles. Yeah. And then a lot of men want threesomes with 2 women, and some women want threesomes with 2 men, and it's like, oh, we didn't have that conversation.
No, we didn't.
Exactly.
No.
What's
going on doing here?
Exactly. Yeah. So it's like, okay, well, let's talk about this from a real perspective. And, you know, she may want to do it in Timberlands, and he want her to be, you know, Sally Perfection once they say I do. Oh, you know, you was giving sloppy oral pleasures when we was kicking it. Yeah. But now that we're married, you my baby mama, you the mother of my kids, you my wife, I can't have you doing it. Well, somebody don't have to do it because you want it. Yeah. So really, it's a whole bunch of stuff that we really go through in our relationships, and it goes in cycles. So everybody is a little taboo, but then you have that couple that's free as a bird, and everybody's cracking up laughing at them, but secretly wishing that they could do some of the stuff that they did.
And being honest with yourself and your mate is the best thing.
Yeah, but before you can be honest with your mate, you get to be honest with yourself, which goes back to the first book, which is Loving You. Gotcha. And so many of us are uncomfortable. You know, you have people that still don't do it with the lights on.
Wow.
Yeah.
But I know, like you said, men and women are taboo about sex. But one thing that in this day and age, I feel that men have been openly talking about is mental health. And some things I hear about that women will say is like, I ain't got time to be taking care of no broken man. But at the same time, women will say, you got to take me for my flaws and all. So, like, how can we? How do we combat that? Like, so are we both wrong with that?
Here's the deal. My mother uses this phrase. She's 82 years old. She said, if you haven't lived, and if you haven't done this or that, just keep living. So the older you get, the more experiences you have. We all in capital letters, all come with a set of baggage. Yeah. Everybody. What you have to do is you have to be cool enough with that person to help them unpack it. because we all have baggage. Right. You know, and we hold on to it and we carry it, and we haven't found a safe space to unpack that baggage. I talk about in the book how I wanted to have a breakdown, but I didn't have time. Because, you know, people expect for you to have it all together all the time, and we expect that of our men. Yeah. And they don't have a safe space. So when I'm talking with women, especially in the bridal workshops that I do, I'm like, dude, let me explain something to you. Your man gets beat up on every day. Absolutely. Every day by the job, the people that are staring at him funny down the street, every day. No reason why he should come home and get beat up by his woman. Because that's his safe space, that's his haven. But in that same breath, men, support your women. She don't always want you to fix her problem. Sometimes she just wants to know that you got her back. Wants to know that you will defend her at all costs. Baby, who asked me to go beat? You know, not that you're gonna really go beat somebody, but she knows that you're there. And that's the part that's missing from relationships. So if we understood going into it, we all got a set of baggage. That's why I'm a firm believer of take the representatives off the table. This is what I come with. I need to know up front if you cool with this, because if you're not, then we don't have to waste time. And that's what the dating process is, but we're not taught that in the dating process. We're not even taught to date. We're taught to be in relationships. Dating is the gathering of information. We miss that gathering of information because we're too busy rushing to date, rushing to have sex, rushing to be in a relationship, only to find out we done fell in love with somebody we don't even like.
And you know, that's why I always say, learn who you go to.
Absolutely.
You have to learn that person.
Yes.
And we got an episode where we touched on that subject, you know, and it was kind of saying, ladies, listen to how we feel. And we got a rebuttal from that, from the women. And then we had an episode where the women got to speak their opinion of how, you know, they want us to perceive them and how they want us to, you know, to approach them and everything. Quick question. You had this webinar, Kiss It Better, which is the acronym for Keep It Simple and Sexy.
Yes.
How did that come about?
Because we over process a lot of things as men and women, but mostly women. And I wanted them to understand that as women, you can keep it simple and you can keep it sexy by simply articulating what it is that you want, like, need, and desire. We don't do that. We want men to guess. We want men to read our minds. We want men to figure it out. And well, you knew I was mad that day. What happened? So I'm telling you know, women in my workshops, it's like, dude, you don't need a whole soliloquy. You don't need a 3-page book. All you need is bullet points. Because ultimately, all he wants to do is fix what's wrong. Yeah. So if you give him the bullet points, and then you tell him, I'm going to help you out, ladies. Give him suggestions as to how he can fix it. And watch him work that thing out. And you got these beautiful posters hanging back here. Women will do stuff like, baby, I need you to hang these pictures up. She didn't say when. She said, baby, I just need you to hang the pictures up. 2 months later, the picture's still there. You didn't give him a time. You didn't give him a date. You didn't give him, you know, men communicate to fix and solve a problem. Yeah, women communicate from A through the rest of the alphabet. So if you want him to hang the pictures, baby, I need the pictures hung by 6 o'clock on Wednesday. Specify it. And I don't mean it like it's that simple, but it really is that simple sometimes. So that's where the keep it simple and sexy comes from. And it's all about getting some of what you want back in return. It's a lot of relationships out there, marriages that are sexless, because once they get married, like I said, you know, we have these perceptions of how we think the bedroom activity should be, and then she rolls over in a wet spot that's not even hers.
Damn.
Wow.
You know what I mean? So it's that in which we're not having real conversations about. And so I'm like, okay, baby, if you like it this way, then tell him. If you want it that way, then tell him. I'm not saying you gotta, well, you ain't doing it right. Stop. No. And my mother said there's a way to do everything, and you can catch more flies with honey than you can with vinegar any day. If you tired of him and you want the garbage to be taken out, stay there with the garbage bag in your hand. Ask me what's gonna happen.
Don't talk. at me, talk to me.
Yes, how about talk with me?
With me.
Engage in a conversation with me. Baby, can you please take the garbage out? Now, not only is he taking the garbage out, he's hurrying up back because he got some incentive and he won't touch on something. And you know, women, I get it all the time. Well, you got her doing too much. Here's the thing. Let me take you way back to when we didn't have lights and we was picking cotton and washing clothes and doing all this stuff before nightfall because we didn't have electricity and we didn't have lights. But it's still some kids being born.
That's a good sign.
So she was picking cotton, washing the kids' clothes, feeding the husband, still getting some juju time in, only to get up in the next day and do it again. So we've been doing this for years.
Yeah.
What I tell women is make that thing work for you as a woman, because it's not going anywhere. We get into roles a lot, and we get into arguments because, well, if I work all day and he work all day, why come he can't come home and cook? He can.
Yeah, right.
But I need to explain to you as a woman what it feels like as a man to come home and have something that you prepared as nourishment for your family. There's no better feeling than that.
Oh, yeah.
And only a man can experience that through your cooking. So when I say it like that, now it's a different conversation as opposed to you gotta cook.
Right. So you broke it down into eras, how about back in, you know, centuries ago we picked cotton, and here we are today. And I think today women feel more empowered than any time ever.
He don't care nothing about that when he come home.
Exactly. So, and we mentioned the word submissive, but if you mention that to some women, they frown on it. Can you kind of break that word down and why are women frowning at that? Because you mentioned about that when a man walks in, like they will follow. So is this something that on our end that we need to fix?
Here's my take on that, in all honesty. You know, I wrote a poem and it says something like, if you want to know why we're angry, it's because we are angry, because we've been disappointed. Truth of the matter is, you all said you would do some things and you didn't do it. You all said you would be there and you didn't show up. So when you talk about why we're not submitting, it's like, what are we submitting to? You haven't shown, you haven't proven, you haven't done any of the things that a stand-up man or what we feel a stand-up man would do or should do for us to submit to. You can't keep a job, and this is not talking about black men. This is us having a conversation about what's real and how we perceive it. You know, unfortunately, because of the way that they have it set up, because I want y'all to understand this is not just us. This isn't a trick. This is for real happening. Black women can make more than black men the majority of the time.
Yeah.
But there's nothing wrong with that. And a woman would have no problem with that if he came in and said, okay, well, baby, how can I make your job easier? That's not what black men are doing. They're, how can I make it harder? Whether they show up or not. It's like, you come home and you've done nothing all day. Nothing. She didn't work all day. Not saying that you have to do anything, but it's the conversations, what I'm saying is the conversations aren't being had about how can we meet in the middle so that everybody's satisfied. Yeah. And then men aren't doing that because my honor, my manhood says I'm not supposed to do that and blah, 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 blah. Well, says who? Because stuff is different now.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that's BS on our behalf. Like, you can't claim to be this king if you act like a justice. I mean, that's how I personally feel, you know, so I'm glad you definitely asked that question.
Yeah, it's like you got wannabe rappers, wannabe part-time window makers, and again, I'm not knocking a dream because I'm on a dream right now. Making Love Better Together is a dream. It definitely does not yield me the return that I put out, but it's my passion, but I'm also willing to work a job until that passion comes into fruition. And that's not always the case sometimes with our men folk.
Okay. Now, I recall you phrasing a DM, a direct message,
yes,
as an invite for sex and advertisement for the goods.
Some people do that.
They do.
Hasn't happened to me though.
Now, with that being said, what are some misconceptions of intimacy versus just sex?
Right now, some people put that under the same word. And like I said, intimacy all day long is foreplay. And foreplay happens all day long. Sex is just sex. Okay. That's all it is. And we've got it twisted, especially if it's good sex. Whew. wig flip back, toes curl, the whole nine, you will get a whole bunch of stuff mixed up.
Right.
Yeah.
You'll think you're in a relationship with somebody that never said they wanted to be in a relationship with you because the sex is good, or because y'all go out on a few dates. The reality is, until you all have the conversation about what you all are doing, it's dating. Right. Until you say, I want to make you my woman, or we gonna be together. Notice how I said, he says, I want to make you my woman, and we're gonna be together. Then women should not assume anything. And what I mean by that is, you don't do wifey things if y'all just kicking. You don't do wifey things. And when I say to you, I'm not saying it like I haven't done it. I have. I've cooked whole dinners and took them somewhere, and I wasn't the woman. So I understand how this can happen, but we give men too much access that they haven't earned.
Okay. So I know as men, we can get caught up as being that title of being a protector and a provider. That's just something that's who we are naturally.
That's what we would love.
That's what we would love.
To be
yeah, but we also I feel that, and I've learned this over the years, that being a protector and provider is more than just monetary. It's about being protector and protecting and providing those emotions. So as men, what is something that we can do? Like you said, foreplay happens all day, right? But how does that look? How does that look? Because as a man, that's something that when I get home, we do want these type of things, but we also know too that we have to warm up the car before we drive it up.
That's the foreplay.
Okay.
It goes back to something you said at the beginning of this conversation. It goes back to consistency.
Okay.
It goes back to doing what you said you were going to do, being where you said you were going to be, and honoring. Because, providing and protecting is protecting her heart. Providing her free space to be who she said she was going to be, or who she wants to be. It's providing her space to change, because you're going to demand your space to change. Do you understand what I mean by that? Like, so you're in a relationship for 20 plus years. So quite naturally, you're going to see her go through some changes.
Yeah.
She's going to be this woman, and then she's going to change, because physically as women, we go through changes just like men. And you have to allow her that space. So when she go cutting off her hair, you're like, well, what you doing? She's going through a change.
Yeah.
And you have to allow her that space. So that's one of the ways to be protective of that. Allow her to have that. We aren't allowed as women to have a breakdown. We're not allowed as women to go through mood swings. It's like, oh, get it together. Oh, you PMSing. Oh, you this or you that. Why can't she just be however she is? And she can find that space sometimes with her friends, but it's amazing when she can have that space with her husband.
Okay. And another thing we talked about, as a man, I would love to see a woman when she comes to bed with something soft on or see-through.
You don't want the bonnet?
No damn bonnets, no stars. Please don't come in here looking like Chef Boyardee. But I know too, and this is the podcast that we want to hold men accountable. So we can't expect our woman to look and smell a certain way when we in the bed. We got our typical basketball shorts on and our t-shirt look like we had the Lemonade Man in the headlock. What are some of the things that women would like to see us in?
Manscaping.
Okay. Oh, really?
Yeah, absolutely. It's okay for y'all to trim that.
Yeah.
We highly recommend it. It makes everything taste better. Start there. Also, too, if you want her to have on something sexy, you can put on a sexy robe, you can put on sexy boxers, smell good. Every woman loves a man that smells good. So, you can lay something out for her. You could send her, this is the ultimate thing that I love for men to do, whether women take advantage of it or not. You know how they have those boutiques with the dressing rooms?
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, you take her on a shopping spree. Baby, try this on. And you let her give you a full-on fashion show. She is stunting just for you.
Okay.
And whatever she picks, that's what y'all gonna hold her.
Okay.
Simple. Women, just like men are simple, women are simple too. And you can tell her what the budget is out the gate. Even if the budget is only $50, it's just the fact that you all are going somewhere and you all are trying something else. See, date night doesn't have to be complicated.
No.
But coming back home, you could do something as simple as you light the candles. You leave your underwear on the stairs with a note and some rose petals going up the stairs.
Okay.
It is the same identical thing. She's like, he done left his drawers on. That's how she gonna think. He done left his drawers on the stairs. What do you got upstairs?
Yeah.
And she coming upstairs and she's excited.
Yeah, because sometimes we do have to be more creative. Because some men just feel like, man, I ain't doing all that shit. It's like, no, you have to do that.
And it's how that expression go, you gotta do what you need to do to get what you want.
Right.
Especially if you want it to be something more than just the bump and grind.
Yeah.
You know, it can be so much more. Like y'all can go wig shopping. You know, if you into that, go wig shopping. Let her put on some wigs and be like, baby, put this on sometimes. Would you know who you want your alter ego to be? Let her come with a
Janet from Three's Company,
yes.
that little vibe she was
Exactly. You know, and women love stuff like that because it boosts her ego. But don't go in there asking for that woman all the time because she's still who she is.
Right.
It's like little things like that.
Less is more.
Yeah, sometimes less is more. You know, she don't need the whole lace outfit. Sometimes she just need a pair of lace boy shorts and a pair of heels. That's all she needs.
Oh,
so, so the bras, but we need something like you said, like a nice robe or some silk boxes or something, and man's fit.
And smell good.
Smell good.
Yes, smell good.
And but you mentioned the phrase taste good. And if anyone follows you on social media, you kind of a gourmet chef. I think you cook with a purpose, right?
I do. I absolutely do.
Okay, why is that?
Because I love things that are aphrodisiac in nature.
Yeah.
Okay.
So a lot of things I cook are good for you, good to you, and taste good coming out of you. And I love that. Like I love experimenting with things. So I use a lot of ginger. My mother talks about me so bad. Ginger is a natural aphrodisiac. It's for multiple things. It you know, settles the tummy. It calms when she's cramping, believe it or not. It also makes you harder, longer, naturally. So it's like things like that. And I got into it and I started making these dishes. I just made a ginger simple syrup the other day because I was making cocktails, which was, of course, aphrodisiac in nature because I did a bourbon cocktail, but it was like a ginger syrup. Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, and I love it. You know, I'm always telling couples to cook together because it's great. It's a great way to get you communicating because you gotta follow the recipe. You gotta mix stuff up together. They get your hands in the same bowl. Now you're touching it in a different kind of way. And then whatever it is you're cooking, you got at least 15 or 20 minutes before it's ready. Why not do some things in the kitchen? Yeah, you know, I tell women all the time, especially if you're cooking for him, you know, have on a apron. Like, once everything is on simmer and you're ready to serve, go put on an apron. That's it.
Wow.
Tell him, that's it. Just an apron and your heels.
And then,
no, I got a reason though.
Okay.
Because it's all about the foreplay.
Exactly, because you ain't gonna eat.
And even if you all do this as a man, you can have on the little man apron that goes right around this part right here. So y'all eat and then you just slide everything to the side and say, you ready for dessert?
Damn.
Yeah.
Okay.
See how sexy that is?
So
It's so simple. And it's like, come on. Yes, I'm ready for dessert. And then y'all get it on the table and don't nobody even know.
Wow.
And you know the key thing you said, you doing all this together.
Yes. I'm telling you, we live these lives and we're married and we just do our own separate things and we only come together during certain times. And it's like, no, we should be together on everything. You know, yeah, you trust me to do certain things, but I want your opinion. I want your input. Sometimes I want you to tell me what to do.
I can dig it.
Right. So that's, I think, when as we discuss this phrase like that, this term intimacy, it all comes down to trust.
Absolutely.
And then trusting your partner and trusting your feelings and trusting that, okay, I'm going to be vulnerable with you. You won't take advantage of that.
Yes.
And that's why I think like we on guard all the time. And if we let those guards down, great things will happen.
Which brings me to my second book, The Art of Intimacy. It's called Making Love Better TwoGether, The Art of Intimacy. And what I do is I allow you to be vulnerable with one another because it involves some blindfolding. And the workshop in itself is, I take away the sense of sight to heighten all the other senses, but I also have you communicating with each other in a way that speaks to the softer side, the vulnerable side, and allows you to welcome and usher into some things that you wouldn't ordinarily do because you've been told it's not good for you, that's not good for you. Like I talk about tapping the prostate, which is taboo, especially in Black relationships.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. And most men aren't ready for that. It's like, wait, what are we doing here? And then I also talk about tapping her G-spot in a way that where you take your time, because just like I want her to marvel in it, I want him to marvel in it too. Instead of just going in there and no, I want you to feel what she's feeling when you're feeling what you're feeling. And the only way to do that is to take your time and caress it, as opposed to just digging for something that ain't there.
Right. So, bros really like the prostate touch, huh?
It's a different type of orgasm altogether. And that's the only way I can explain it. It is a different type of orgasm altogether. And the unfortunate thing is, you've been told you're a certain type of man if you do that.
Yeah.
But it goes back to being vulnerable, because it's not like almost like you don't let everybody do everything with you. You don't do everything with everybody. Some stuff you save for your husband and your wife. And that can be one of those things. Has nothing to do with sexuality, has everything to do with pleasure.
And one thing, you're big on Kegel exercises as well.
I am.
Yeah, what's that all about?
So, again, everything I do is not just for sexual benefit, although it may seem that way. But, somewhere, like, okay, so I'll paint a picture for you. So when you're in your 20s and your 30s and you just hitting it, it's like bam, 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 bam. Yeah. Head hitting the headboard the whole night. Okay, well, as a woman, what most men don't know, and not even women, is you have this thing that houses the baby called a uterus. Okay. If you constantly banging that thing up against the wall, her uterus is tilted, or it shifts, or it can actually just fall. Most men don't know that. So the Kegel exercises keep all that tight, keeps it in place. It also helps her later in life when she has bladder control issues. Because what a lot of men don't understand is sometimes after she has a baby, she has bladder control issues. And Kegel muscle, by using those often, helps tighten all that up and helps her to kind of revert back to her old self. It also tightens up the vaginal muscles as well. So after she has a baby, then she can kind of shrink back down. It also helps when you're having sex, because when she's on top and she's doing the upswing, then it feels like a glove. So when you're having your orgasm, if she tightens it up, then you can feel that also. So it's a number of different reasons why the Kegel exercises are important, but mostly because as an older woman, she'll sneeze and she'll tinkle, or she'll laugh and she'll tinkle. The Kegel exercises helps with all of what I just said.
Are there things that men can do?
Yeah, men can use their Kegels too.
We got Kegels?
You got Kegels.
Oh.
You got Kegels too, but that helps with control of having your orgasm.
Okay.
And also, so the spot that you all don't really like women to go to. Okay, so between the testicles and that spot, there's some space. It's about this big.
Yeah.
If she applies pressure, then that will slow down your orgasm as well. So she can do that from any position, mostly when she's on top though. So if she's riding reverse cowgirl, then of course she's right there at it.
Okay, I'm just getting a visual. Okay, all right.
That's where she's grabbing your ankles and her back is to your face.
All right.
Okay. And then if you turn around the other way, then all she has to do is reach back. Okay. And just apply a little pressure, and that'll slow down your orgasm. Gotcha. So see how easy it is to have this conversation?
It is.
You know what I mean? So that's what I do when I'm introducing novelty toys, because it's not a complicated conversation. It's not like whip it out and like, baby, we're gonna try this. My favorite thing that I love for couples to use is the vibrating cock ring.
Okay. Wait, so what again?
It's a vibrating cock ring.
I have one of those.
Oh, bro.
See?
Hey,
listen, when I tell you, here's the secret that most men don't understand about the vibrating cock ring.
Okay.
It takes all the pressure off you,
Yeah,
all the work off you.
Hey,
It's like, listen, like, hey, you just be high-fiving, like, thanks for that assist.
Okay.
Because depending on which way you turn it. So what it is it's a ring that goes around the shaft of your penis. You pull it all the way up. It keeps the blood there longer, so your heart will.
Okay.
So if you turn it up, then it vibrates on her clitoris while you're penetrating her, giving her multiple orgasms because you're inside of her and there's something vibrating. It's amazing. If you turn it around the other way, then it vibrates on your testicles, giving you some pleasure too while you're inside her. It's the most amazing thing ever. Like, people are so sleep. So sleep.
So it's probably just so free to admit that he has one of these. Like, there's some men. I'm not saying it. It's chill. But I'm saying, like, some men are like intimidated by it. Like they feel like it's a replacement of them.
No, it is
So what do you say to those fellas?
It is an enhancement. Like I just said,
absolutely.
If you want your woman to be multi-orgasmic, and again it goes back to the mindset of a selfless lover. Mm-hmm. Because I shouldn't say most. Some men are not multi-orgasmic. So he has his orgasm before she has hers. Was she just SOL? Like,
yeah. And that's right. Yeah.
But if you have that assist there, where you just put it on now you're gonna prolong your orgasm because that's what it does.
Yeah.
But then all that extra vibration is gonna give her multiple orgasms because you don't have to keep it on. Like once you're done doing what you need to do for her and for you, take that thing off and go to work in other ways. It's an enhancement to what you already have. Just like I tell women all the time with the bullets, people go crazy over the bullets. It's like, hey. What you need to understand is he's not gonna ever go that fast. His tongue's not gonna go that fast. He's not gonna go. So if you keep using that is replacing what he can do. So now you're wondering why y'all was down there and he down there forever in Christmas. It's because you've used that way too much instead of incorporating him into the picture.
Yeah.
So even if you use your finger for self-pleasure, that's still going to be a little bit more accommodating than a bullet in terms of what he's going to add value to. So when I tell you I'm coming strong from an educational standpoint and a pleasure standpoint, it's like, no. What we're not going to do is we're not going to take away what this could be because of the perception of what you think it is.
Yeah, and that's what it is. Like you said, definitely an enhancer. To me, it's like to see even the visual of a woman pleasuring herself.
Let me that's on one of my date night tips. Yeah. So what I tell women is I'm like, look, okay, here's what you do. You get a chair, get some candles, and if you're wearing a wig, move the candles far away.
Jackson commercial incident.
But what you do is, this is part of that scavenger hunt.
Okay.
So what I say to women is I say, you sit him directly across from you, and you say, I want to see how long you can take it. Sexiest thing ever because he can't take it.
No, it's like tag team
But
wrestling.
it's beautiful because men are visual. They love to watch. It also gets women to a level of comfort with themselves. So I'm just giving away all the secrets. So there's I tell women when you go out and you know how women wear the black dress. Yeah. I have to get a pair of pearls. Not your grandma pearls. Right. Not the expensive pearls. But just get a pair of pearls. You know, just put the pearls on your neck. You take off everything except the pearls. Now, there's two things you can do with these pearls.
I'm all in.
I just enhanced your whole sex life with just some pearls. So you got the dress on, you just sat across the room. You can take the pearls and you can intertwine them into your fingers, and you can give him a hand job because the pearls have like this humming, like the rhythm. Yeah, they kind of vibrate, yes. Yeah. So you can give him a hand job, or you can take the pearls and insert them inside your vagina and play tug of war.
Oh yeah.
I know. You you visualize that. Like, what is that going to be? It's a beautiful way for her to show off her Kegel muscles. It's a great way for you to actually see her get wet, which is a whole entire turn on within itself, and that's foreplay. Okay. And then whatever y'all do after that is whatever y'all do after that.
Coming together.
Yes. Because you you really have to be comfortable with yourself as a woman. He has to be comfortable with his woman. Because you like right there, you like pull her, and then she pull her back, and you pull her. Listen, love making can be absolutely wonderlicious. That's a word, wonderlicious. And I'm telling you, it is everything you thought it could be. It definitely does not have to be the boring missionary.
And there are so many infinite possibilities.
Yes. And I talk about that when I'm cooking, like a lot. Like if you think, it's from the movie Love Jones. Okay. When you think that you've exhausted the possibilities in your relationships, there are so many more. So many more.
Let me ask you a quick question before. Going back to the candles, you said, can you get into the his, hers, ours candle launch? What was it all about?
So I had these ideas, and I had this candle that I created. I had the men's scent, the women's scent, and then the our scent. And what they were just simply massage candles. So all you do is you burn them and you give each other a massage. And it can be something as simple as a Post-it note tonight, baby, you know, is a massage on me. You light the candle. Of course, there's this amazing scent. You take it, you pour it in your hands, nice warm paraffin wax that you can massage on your baby.
I've learned a lot.
But I know we talked about all the fun stuff, but how important is the younger generation when it comes to intimacy?
They crave it just as much as we do.
Mm-hmm.
They don't necessarily know how to go about it because their generation is moving really, really fast at the speed of light. And most of them, which goes back to skipping the generation of communication, so their songs are hit it, quit it, get it, you know, whereas we were like, put on your red dress, slip on your high heels. So there's a couple things that are missing, but they still want it. Yeah. That I do know.
And it's important for us to show them. It's
important for us to show them. It's important for us to tell them. It's important for us. You know, I use the analogy of smartest, dumbest generation ever. Because they can Google anything to find out information. And I use the pot roast as the analogy. There's a story where this woman would cut the ends off her pot roast before she would cook it. She never understood why she did it. Then her daughter did it. Finally, they asked Grandma, why did you cut the ends off the pot roast? She said, because it didn't fit in that pot. Wow. See how stuff is passed down generation after generation of miscommunication? That was something as simple as that. So while we can go to Google and get how to do something, it's best to talk to somebody who's lived the story so they can tell you the story behind it.
And so just to close things out, you know, speaking of Google, you know, you have books and people can just put in your name and see all the great work you've done and the great work that you're going to continue to do. But with all this said and done, what do you want Yanni Brown's legacy to be?
You know, I want people to love more. However that needs to be done for you. You know, life is short, and we are leaving here quick. And I noticed that a lot of us are leaving here unloved. You know what I mean? Like, and alone. Yeah. I'm looking at the seniors, and because society has told us you're not supposed to be married, don't get married, they're dying alone.
Well, with that said, man, how can our viewers find you and learn how to make love better together?
I'm easy. You can find me across all my social media platforms at Making Love Better. That's BETTR, or just Google Yanni Brown. I'm easily accessible. I get a lot of inboxes. I'm trying to figure out how I can charge for those. Like I get a lot of help me in my inboxes. I don't get the other.
You don't get the other.
No, go down in the DM.
No.
Okay. Well, that's all right. Well, it probably don't go down in the DM, but it went down with us, and we want to thank you for all the insight and that great conversation, and just learning how to make love better together.
I mean, it's easy, man.
It's easy, so let's put the work in.
That's it. Put the work in. Yes.
Communication, trust, being vulnerable, and then we're gonna make love better together. This is Yanni Brown, y'all, with Under the Crown Podcast.
Peace.
Peace.